Let's talk to a woman who is so tired of all that talk about proof of concept, because years ago she started a production environment, and she is basically now handling millions and millions and millions of diamonds are registered on her blockchain. And I think she is the first real production system on the blockchain, next to Bitcoin, of course, next to the crypto, but to use it for other things. She's from Australia, and she came here, she's from London, and Leanne Kemp from Everledger. She's really, she goes a lot more. She told me she's going a lot of times to, in what city do you think she's going a lot? Diamonds? Cape Town, yeah, but here in the neighborhood, She's always going to Antwerp because that's where the trade is. And if they do a good business, if really they have a big deal, where do they go to celebrate? To Amsterdam. Give her a big hand. Back in Amsterdam, Leanne Kemp, tell us. Tell us what is happening if you're years in production with the blockchain. And thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That was a hellish introduction. I'm not really sure how I follow from that, but let's give it a shot. So hello everyone, my name's Leanne Kemp. I'm the founder and CEO of Everledger. We're a digital global ledger that tracks and protects items of value. And we started with diamonds. At the very core of my experience, I worked in RFID, radio frequency and identification, at the silicon chip and inlay level. I'm a software engineer, and I've spent the better part of 20 years being entertained by white papers. And so something really interesting happened in the world in 1989. This guy by the name of Tim Berners-Lee created a protocol called HTTP. And funnily enough, the World Wide Web was born. It enabled the connection of two computers to be able to talk together. And then of course we had another protocol innovation, which was SMTP, and an application was born called email that enabled us to communicate with each other. And I guess you wind forward to 2007, which was another important year of the world, and the global financial crisis occurred, and then there was this magical Satoshi Nakamoto. A guy, a girl, a bunch of people who knows, a pseudonym for somebody who created a peer-to-peer protocol to enable the transfer of trust. Now, because since the mid-90s I'd worked in supply chain and RFID, I've come from Australia, I've worked in harsh environments, mining and agricultural belt. For me, transfer of value, I looked at it from an object level. So I thought to myself, and I bought Bitcoin early, so that was not a bad start to my career in crypto, but I thought, what was really important beyond just digital money? How do we enable the transfer of value for one of the most precious items on the planet? And so we began. We began understanding where we could distill the most potent pieces of the white paper, and how could we match that to a set of challenges within an industry. So whilst we were excited about the technology, it was less about the tech, and it was more about what was the challenges within an industry, and was I going to spend the next 10 years looking at a startup that would scale up and that would penultimately rewire the way an industry completely worked globally. So when we broke down the essence of blockchain, we broke it down to its simplistic form of security, scalability, immutability, and global speed. And of course, when we think about this, diamonds at the very baseline is the perfect commodity to begin to understand how we could work within industry. We needed to be sure that we could track the diamond from the source of the mine to the market. And whilst everyone wants to think about blockchain, I actually fundamentally believe that blockchain and blockchain alone will not solve for physical commodity supply chains. And not only that, whilst we're talking about it, and it's on the top list of every media outlet and keynote speaking around the world, within 2 to 3 years, we will not be talking about blockchain. We're not talking about browsers today or HTTP or SMTP or emails. These are just applications that are baked within the current internet tooling. So in 2 to 3 years' time, we won't be talking about this, but what we will be talking about are applications. We'll be talking about how this has transformed industry and how this has transformed data security and privacy, not only for companies, but also for consumers. So I'll take you through the story. Diamonds. when you're a startup and you're working with a nascent technology like blockchain, you want to pick a niche. And so we picked a bloody big niche. Diamonds are mined, $15 billion a year in rough is actually extracted from the earth. And as diamonds move through the supply chain, by the time they hit the middle tier of the pipeline, where they're cut and polished, it's 47 billion. And when we hit the retail network, not set in a diamond ring yet, it's $72 billion. Now think about it. It's a supply chain where it's a rock and it's transformed. It's cut and polished and turned into something, a beautiful piece of memorabilia that celebrates love and life. A simplistic supply chain. But at the very core of this industry, it's been plagued with headlines of blood diamonds and anti-money laundering, terrorist-funded activities. There's a lot of issues within industry. Now, in the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen the rise of synthetic stones. Now, synthetics has actually been a part of the heritage of the diamond and jewellery industry for quite some time. But synthetic diamonds, they've been manufactured for industrial purposes, blade saws and drill bits. And when I began Everledger, we started to see the rise of synthetics in gem quality standards. There wasn't a machine that was able to detect synthetics across the pipeline, and yet we'd seen the peppering of those synthetics. So where natural stones were swapped out for synthetics. And this caused not only a lot of concern for the consumers, but actually the banks. In 2014, there was a $2.5 billion shortfall in the mid-tier of the market in supply chain finance with the diamond manufacturers. Standard Chartered pulled out of industry with a $2 billion portfolio and $400 million in non-performing loans. ABN AMRO has now pulled back from industry and taken their diamond and jewellery desk and folded into general commodities. And just in the last month have made announcements about closing down their operations in 4 countries around the globe in the diamond industry. At the very core of our industry, we have a serious amount of problems. And so whilst we were the first in the world to grapple this technology and run to production state, it wasn't because we were smart or lucky. It's because we knew that there were problems to be solved. And we knew and understood that the bell curve of maturity that was about to come within the blockchain space and machine vision and a cognitive layer and AI was about to hit the maturity at a crisis point within industry, where the industry has a consciousness that they had no other way to solve for this problem. No longer can an industry that's been based in 500 years can rely upon that gentleman's handshake, a chit of paper and a promise to pay. So this is what we did. We created relationships with the major certificate houses in the world, in America, India, Israel, Antwerp, where they grade and certify each of the diamonds. Now, not only do we capture the 4 C's of the diamond, we take 40 metadata points of that diamond and we create a digital thumbprint, a digital twin. We embed that within the blockchain. We now know where diamonds are being sold and resold online in marketplaces such as Amazon and eBay. We work with insurance companies on fraudulent claims, with banks to help them solve the middle of the market financing problem. And not only that, we've built an application that allows consumers to be able to check, validate, and transfer ownership of their diamonds. Now, we started in April 2015 in the heart of London. We were a part of the Barclays Accelerator and BBVA Bank in Spain. And since that time, we now hold 2.2 million diamonds in Everledger. And recent announcements has us seeing that we have about 100,000 stones a month being digitally incarnated in the blockchain. With some level of contractual confidence, we can say that we'll represent 10% of the entire global trade of certified diamonds in the world as of 2019, so let's say 2020, but it'll probably be 2019. Now, as I said before, blockchain is not going to solve for physical supply chains. It's a single layer technology that is not going to solve for the physical world and the digital world. There has to be a bridge that identifies between the two. And I'm sorry, but serialization, just a number on the plate of a car or a number on the side of the stone, is also not going to solve for that. We have the ability to scrape these things off. So within Everledger, we actually have quite a deep technical stack. We look at the provenance and the identity, the scientific identity, material science of the physical diamond. We enable then the mapping of that through the features of the diamond with micron lens technology. And of course, we enable this as well through some subsurface QR enablement. And I'll show you this because we released it 2 days ago in the US. The diamond identity will go through a set of forensic checks. So from a perspective of Everledger, we're actually a quiet IoT enablement company. We recognized across the pipeline that a number of people were already handling the stones, that there are a number of participants in the pipeline that had siloed data. There are a number of existing scientific machines that were proven in enablement in terms of identity, but no one had connected that together. So we became the connective tissue of industry. A part of the work that we also did, which is this is what you're seeing in our software, was the enablement of the mapping through high-definition photography to look at the stress mapping within the diamond. As diamonds are formed in the crust of the earth, it's under a significant amount of pressure. Think about a child being born with a congenitive heart scar. We map the heart scar. And so that heart scar is then kept for the life of that child or the life of the diamond. We now know in terms of processing risk, how we can take algorithms and inform the insurance companies around that risk before and after cut. We gave birth to the diamond time lapse, which actually gives the entire tracking of the diamonds from the source of the mine in Russia. We take high definition photography of the parcel of the rough. We map individual stones both in video as well as photography, and we map their laser machines. And of course, more recently, we were publicly able to announce the work that we did with the GIA, the Gemological Institute of America. They grade and certify 80% of the world's diamonds, as well as with Chow Tai Fook. Chow Tai Fook are a 3,000 retail outlet in mainland China. They are the Alibaba of our industry, and they're larger, financially, bigger than Tiffany's. They're customers of Everledger. This is an application, again, that we released to the market, and it's for the retailer. It's a white label application that enables the retailer to store not only the provenance of the diamond, but also the manufacturing in metals and minerals of the physical jewelry piece now. So Everledger has transcended beyond diamonds. We're in diamonds, rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and of course in the metals and minerals component with gold, platinum, and silver. Please wrap up. Epic. That was really boring. There was like one very last slide. Is there a possibility to have the one last slide because it's important for them to see? These guys are really brutal here. I mean, it's like being home in Australia. It's like the taps off on the beer and be done with it. This one part of the work that we did was integrate a cognitive layer so that we actually integrate and map the supply chain back to the compliance with smart contracts to enable us to be aware that if a diamond has crossed borders, have they dutifully paid taxes? And of course, a volume ranking to be sure that they are within the sanctions list or within the physical compliance of those countries with the Kimberley process. And more importantly, 2 days ago, this is what you need to see. We released to the market a crypto anchor that is engraved subsurface of the diamond. It's a data matrix code that takes the full identity of that stone to enable us to clip this on to a handheld device to be able to scan the diamond to know that that diamond matches the certificate, that that diamond is what you've purchased and that diamond is real. This is now in market. It's in market with 25 retailers and we'll start to pronounce those over time. And so thank you. Turn off the beer tap now.
Stay there. Stay there. Stay there. Sorry to have you so brutally, because Paul's doing a really good job because the catering and that kind. But this was so interesting, and it's so fantastic that you're doing. How many people are in the company?
We're 48 people, and we'll be at about 60 by the end of the year, if not 80.
Okay, so we have a question saying, okay, what's the Everledger business model? How much do you charge for making a diamond twin?
So Everledger, I mean, we were very spoilt because the industry at large already enabled certification. So certification is enabled through the Kimberley process when rough diamonds are crossing borders. And the cost of that certification is around $5 to $30, depending upon the country. And then when a diamond is graded, it's graded through a laboratory, GIA, HRD, IGI, that's about $80 US. They were all paper-based certifications. So because we became digital origination, we take a value of that. So yeah. We're not disrupting, we're co-evolving. We see ourselves as the Intel inside, and we're happy to be that way.
And aren't you so much more efficient than the other systems now? I mean, why are they still around, I would almost ask?
They've just found a really cool auntie to hang out with, so we'll make them even funkier over time. So they're still around.
Okay, let me see, we have one more question. Do you, do the videos and high-res pictures sit in the blockchain? No, or do you store them separately?
No, so we have off-chain and on-chain. So the videos and the thumbprint of the flat imagery are hashed into the chain. But no, we're not storing rich media in the chain. It wouldn't cope.
No, okay. And so you use...
but what we say, that's not centrally cloud stored, by the way. So it's still distributed in terms of file storage. So I should say that.
You should say that. And what technology are you using?
So we're running on the open source platform of Hyperledger.
Okay.
With federated consensus.
Yeah, works fine?
It's okay.
It's okay. Are you also looking at Ethereum or at enterprise? Or
I mean, we look at all disciplines of the technology, and we're trained in the art, I would say, rather than the science of each of those technologies. And I think that we'll just look at the space over time as to what will mature in the right way. And that's not a negative statement towards Hyperledger, quite the opposite. But I think that we're just so early in the tech space.
Yes, you did, and you solved a lot of problems because you found so many problems in the stuff. Now, question: can I, as a consumer, download your app and then look at all the diamonds and see if they're real, or do I need a QR code and then compare it or something like that?
Yeah. So we've released this application as a part of the retail offering. So we're looking at newly graded stones and then newly sold stones. So the chain of ownership will occur from the point of from mine right the way through to the grading, and then the grading to retail, and then the chain of ownership to the retail customers. We would imagine that this is available in store this Christmas.
Okay, wonderful. And I love the camera, the little thingy that you have that I can put on my phone and start doing it myself.
I mean, if I was to say something that we did that was cool, that was cool.
So if you now are not into diamonds and you would now start again, what industry would you pick? So that's one of the entrepreneurs here can pick it up. What do you think is really ready for disruptive?
So I would not have changed anything if I had my time over again. The reality is that I think not all objects should be on a blockchain, and the comment that I made about the scientific identity of objects at that material science level is very important. Serialization, I think, is too persuasive. It's going to go away. As a company, we're focused on gems, metals, and minerals. I'm an official appointment with the World Economic Forum, and the work that I've been doing over the last number of years is around the global commons. So what's important in terms of sustainability and supply chain. And we're hugely interested in conflict supply chain. So what is happening in the space with cobalt, lithium, what's going on in gold, dirty gold. These are the things. We have a team in Tanzania right now. I'll be heading across to Sierra Leone shortly, and so these are the types of things that we're interested in. Okay. And we do sort of flirt with other objects of value, rising asset classes. So authentication of wine, we did a fair bit of work in, and art. Old masters, etc., where scientific identity is really important. So the motivation for me as a CEO is anything I like to wear, drink, watch, drive maybe Ferraris.
Isn't she a great blockchain entrepreneur? I mean, really, give her a big hand. She's going to do great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.